Every year, there are warnings about marijuana edibles disguised as Halloween candy. We got Colorado's poison control numbers to prove it's a myth. A flood at just one house leaves a Coloradan looking at one of the rare times you can successfully sue the government.
And this is like a third of our home destroyed. It is horrible for us.
Giving teachers a mental health day. And every Friday, your good news surprises us.
My good news is I'm getting married this weekend.
That's sweet.
And we're celebrating at the strip club tonight.
That's spicy. Now coming to the stage, next.
People aren't giving your kids marijuana edibles for Halloween. It's the Halloween legend that just won't die. Every year, including this one, law enforcement outside Colorado gins up this scare because the poison control experts in Colorado know edibles are expensive. They aren't getting handed out on purpose.
I think I'd rather the public not have that fear, but we're happy to reassure callers.
Shereen Banerjee is a clinical toxicologist and director of the Rocky Mountain Poison Center. If the edibles disguised as Halloween candy myth was real, she'd know.
We get lots of inquiries every year asking, is this true? Do you see this? And we do a lot of surveillance. And to date, I have never had a case or heard of a case or seen a case where a marijuana edible was given out to children instead of regular Halloween candy.
Not once. Rocky Mountain Poison Center does see accidental ingestion of marijuana edibles, typically 4 to 12 cases a month, but no spike around Halloween. We looked at the numbers going back to 2015. But the myth of edibles going into Halloween baskets persists.
It's a frustration that people think that that's a reality, but we're happy to talk to people and reassure them that this is not something that's regularly seen, or actually never seen that done.
One last thought about the persistent myth that people are giving marijuana edibles to kids for Halloween. Local news stations can help end this myth by not giving airtime to the people who make the claim without evidence. Some might say, well, it never hurts to be careful. Well, honestly, encouraging people to have irrational fears instead of focusing on actual dangers, that is harmful. And it makes it seem like the threat is coming from someone else, as opposed to our behavior. We want to protect kids around Halloween, or really any time. We should put down our cell phones while we're driving so we can see kids crossing the street. We should safely store our guns at home. We should secure the stuff that does lead to the majority of poison control calls for kids: pain relievers, prescriptions, household cleaners. And yeah, put edibles in a place where kids can't get them. And once and for all, just quit worrying about whether our neighbors are going to waste their expensive stash on our kids. They won't even splurge for full-size candy bars. It's a sign that people in Louisville are sick of speeders. The city's transportation department has measured the short and long-term impact of these slow-down signs, like the new one on South Boulder Road. This is pretty blunt. Your speed can kill. The mayor told us the danger in this spot is often people just going a bit over the limit.
And in that area, people do tend to, because there is a hill and people get comfortable, so they start to go 45. I think sometimes what people think is, oh, I'm just going 5 over. That's not a problem. But 5 over can put you up to a speed where you can actually take someone else's life.
Mayor Ashley Stolzman says the city's transportation department found that the largest speed reduction happens right after those flashing signs go in, but they have seen a smaller reduction that lasts in the long term. If you've not heard of the Great Longmont flood of 2021, that's understandable, because it only happened to one guy. You can't sue nature for flooding your house, but you can sue a public utility like the water company. Here's Nelson Garcia.
That's where the water comes into the water meter.
What was supposed to be routine turned into a mess for Jeremy Berggren.
2 or 3 inches, the whole basement was full of water.
He says when the city of Longmont came to replace his water meter,
It wasn't done right.
Berggren says the city worker caused a spike in pressure, which split a pipe on the water heater.
Yeah, you can see how it's wet up there.
Causing his basement to flood overnight while he was sleeping.
The drywall soaked up all the water, and it's just crumbling at the bottom.
At first, Berggren says the city admitted fault, cleaned up the water, and offered an agreement to pay up to $15,000 in damages. And when he didn't sign,
Then all of a sudden, it wasn't their fault anymore. and they weren't going to fix it.
This all happened in July.
And this is like a third of our home destroyed. It is horrible for us.
Berggren is still trying to work with the city of Longmont.
Was the mess mostly...
Without our knowledge, he scheduled a visit with the city's risk manager.
And the scent of mold just filled the whole house.
At the same time, we were there.
They said they were going to rebuild it, and then they didn't.
Berggren says the $15,000 offer was not nearly enough.
Carpeting, all the drywall, everything was coming in $30,000 to $40,000. So we've asked the city for $47,000.
The city of Longmont released a statement that reads in part, quote, "The city's process in these situations is to inspect the damages and determine liability and costs. Unfortunately, the homeowner did not allow the city to conduct a formal inspection of the home to assess damages until today." Berggren claims the city was the one who wouldn't respond.
It's going to cost me $40,000 to collect $40,000.
Berggren says he might have to file a lawsuit, which would be allowed under state law. The Colorado Governmental Immunity Act allows a claim to be filed under certain areas, including a dangerous condition of public water.
All I want is to have it fixed, just to have it repaired. I'm not asking for a benefit from the city or something like that. I'm just asking that they repair it.
He's asking to go back to his routine.
I just want the damn thing fixed.
For Next, I'm Nelson Garcia.
City of Longmont says it's changed out more than 20,000 of those water meters over the last several years and never ran into an issue like that one. Election turnout statewide is at a whopping 16%. Even worse in Denver, 11% of eligible voters in the city have turned in their ballot. And turnout that low means anything could happen. The city of Denver is already taking an issue that people are voting on to court, going to court before it potentially passes. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger explains the issues with ballot issue 303, enforcement of the city's homeless camping ban.
When and how Denver enforces illegal camping is the focus of ballot issue 303, and the reason the city is already challenging the legality of it in a Denver courtroom.
By forcing the city's hand, Initiative 303 is an unconstitutional overreach.
A yes vote on 303 means Denver would have 3 days to enforce a camping complaint. Anyone can sue the city if there is not enforcement within 3 days. A yes vote allows for private citizens to enforce the camping ban. And oh yeah, it creates 4 locations to camp legally, known as safe outdoor spaces. A no vote does not force any enforcement changes, which, by the way, because of a federal court order, Denver has to provide 7 days notice before clearing an encampment. So how does that mesh with the 3 days ballot issue 303 calls for?
What the initiative itself says is you have to take enforcement action within 72 hours. It doesn't say, you must send your police officers in to clear an encampment and arrest people or throw away their property. It says enforcement action. And enforcement action can be a notice.
Suzanne Taheri represents Garrett Flicker, the head of Denver's Republican Party, who got 303 put on the ballot. She argued 303 does not force how Denver enforces the camping ban.
It doesn't tell them how to take action. It doesn't tell them the kind of enforcement they have to do.
The city attorney wants a judge to, at the very least, invalidate the 3-day enforcement requirement. And the city wants that decision even before we know if 303 passes on Tuesday. But this issue was approved for the ballot in late July. It's almost November. Why didn't the city challenge this before you started voting on it?
There are numerous problems with Initiative 303. Those were researched. We've cited dozens of cases in our pleadings. I know you would like to think of this as a very simple legal question, but it really is not.
In Denver, there are 13 ballot issues. Maybe that's why only 11% have voted so far. 5 of them, including ballot issue 303, were put on by citizens collecting signatures. And so the city attorney told me her office had to review all of those for legality issues, and that's another reason this is happening now instead of before ballots went out. The judge said he would probably rule by Halloween, Sunday, on if any part of 303 should be nullified, even though some people have already voted on it, Kyle.
Marshall, there's a part of 303 that reminds me of something that popped up in Texas's recent abortion ban, kind of like a vigilante provision that allows citizens to get involved in the enforcement of the law if they don't think that Denver's sweeping homeless camps quickly enough.
The judge asked some of this criteria about who can complain and then who could sue the city if a complaint isn't followed up on. And in court, they said, well, the intent is for the person who complained to sue if 3 days go by and nothing happens. But that sounds not what it says in the ballot. It says any person can sue. And there's the part about private enforcement. So that means if someone complains and 3 days go by and you know that complaint had happened, does that mean I can suddenly go up and be like, time to move out now? I'm pushing. Like, there's so much that's going to end up in court even after this, if it passes. If it doesn't pass, this is probably all moot. But if it passes, there's more court to be had.
Private enforcement could be wild. We were embarrassed last night because neither of us had voted. I voted today. How about you?
Not yet. I told you, it's a prop. I need it as a prop.
11% have voted, Marshall.
I will be voting.
Shame. All right.
Guaranteed.
Thank you, sir. You prompted tears of joy from the Coloradans who run the nonprofit Foster Source. Your latest Word of Thanks microgiving campaign has raised more than $22,000 so far for that nonprofit that helps new foster parents stick with it through all the challenges, because close to 50% of new foster parents quit in the first year. And that means that all those kids just have to change homes again. Foster Source offers foster parents classes on parenting children with trauma, therapy for the parents themselves, and help with physical items, the cost of bunk beds, mattresses, car seats, even groceries. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in chipping in a little to support Foster Source as they work to retain the foster families that have already made an incredible commitment to those kids.
Yeah, it's hard to be working at that level of kind of intensity for 2.5 months.
A mental health break for teachers who've worked relentlessly to catch kids up through in-person learning. And your Friday good news comes from familiar names with unfamiliar faces.
I'm definitely excited to be Debbie Harry today. Hi, I'm Dolly Parton.
What's a haunted house like during the day? We'll go there next.
I would not want to be a teacher on the Monday after Halloween. You got all the kids coming down from the sugar buzzes. Teachers in Denver's DSST charter schools, all 15 locations, they're going to get Monday off as a mental health day. The schools say the teachers have worked really hard this semester getting kids back into the flow of in-person learning.
It's kind of like, an athlete who you want to be at their best every day. When you train, you want to have the opportunity to rest as well as train hard, as well as perform well. And our teachers have been doing an amazing job for 2.5 months. And, we want them to be at their best every day in the classroom. And I think that we just need to give them a day to kind of recharge to be able to be their best each and every day for our students.
DSST told us they realized that giving teachers and students a day off impacts families. They said they tried to find a day that would be less of an inconvenience for moms and dads. I want to give you a quick look at the latest COVID numbers in our state. 1,184 people are currently hospitalized with COVID-19 in Colorado. That's a jump up of 17 patients from the day before, up 52 patients from this time last week. We're not talking about cases here. These are very sick people, and look at where that trend is. Hope is that maybe the positivity rates topped out after nearly reaching 9% earlier this week. The current 7-day average is now 8.3% of tests coming back positive. May I make a recommendation? A suggested reading that does not come from us, but I really think is worth your time. It feels like your life doesn't matter. Some of the many powerful words from Colorado's sex workers in a Denver Post investigation by Alex Burness. This is a deeply reported piece about how the stigma around legal and illegal sex work makes it difficult for those Coloradans to advocate for themselves or even to protect their own safety. It's interesting to see what Colorado law enforcement has to say about it, and that the state attorney general wouldn't say anything at all. This piece is a nuanced look at a complex issue. We've got a link to the Post article on the next Facebook page.
Mid-70s and plenty of sunshine, a perfect way to end the work week. Nothing but sunshine on this Friday evening. It's just gorgeous out there. Highs in the 70s for the metro area, 70s off to the eastern plains, even quite comfortable up in the mountains. Not a ton going on HD Doppler 9 tonight. We'll have mostly clear skies, numbers falling into the 30s and 40s around here. But this ridge of high pressure that brought us the heat, it starts scooting off to the east as we look ahead toward tomorrow. Still will be mild, but look at that cold air. It's going to be making a comeback just in time for Halloween. Highs returning to the mid to upper 60s for the metro areas, some 70s down south, 40s 50s up into the high country. The cooler weather arrives on Sunday. Mostly cloudy skies for your Halloween with possibly a couple of quick showers late Sunday night. The wet weather, the rain and snow sticks around early next week.
The headlines of your life become our headlines each Friday, and this is the one week it's weird.
If I am on TV with a wig cap, this...
You're not even up the line. But still simple, heartfelt answers to our favorite question. What's your good news?
I like that so much we're going to use it again next Tuesday. The question here on Friday never changes. In summer sunshine, winter snow, we always go out to ask, what's your good news? Been asking for 270 Fridays now. This is the 1 week a year that people tend to be in costumes. Turns out that haunted houses during the daylight are just filled with managers and accountants and stuff. Not scary at all. Plenty of good news.
My good news is that it's Friday, it's fabulous outside, and we are back together for another amazing weekend of scares.
I'm Dolly Parton.
I am Louise Belcher from Bob's Burgers. I love good news too.
I think everyone's just kind of getting ready for the weekend. This is going to be one of our biggest weekends this year. My good news is I have a buddy from college that's coming out for the first time in 5 years. So he's getting to see Colorado again, and we're going to go have a good time and enjoy our Halloween weekend.
I did just celebrate my anniversary with my honey last weekend.
My good news is that it is Halloween weekend, so definitely excited to be Debbie Harry today and rock this mullet.
Hi, I'm Dolly Parton, and my good news is it's Halloween weekend. Get ready to trick or treat.
Good news is just feel good, the sun is shining, just something to focus on to take away from any bad in the world.
My good news is I'm getting married this weekend, and we're celebrating at the strip club tonight. You can edit that part out. But just if you wanted something a little spicy.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
My good news is that it's a sunny day, it's Halloween weekend, and we're super excited to get the hunt started for the weekend.
I think everyone's kind of just making sure that everything's good to go, and we're going to have the best weekend possible and really put on a good show for everyone this week.
The awkward, well, congratulations to the bride head to the strip club tonight was our photojournalist Tom Cole, who does a wonderful job with that segment each week. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a clash of seasons pulling up alongside you. That and your feedback next. Cruising through fall, making a fashion statement. It's the most Colorado thing we've seen today. Convertible season in this state is flexible if you're willing to make some wardrobe modifications. Annie spotted a fellow driver in Buena Vista, top down, ear muffs on. Fall in Colorado. So much feedback tonight about our myth busting on the idea that people are giving out marijuana edibles disguised as Halloween candy. Ernest says, I've been so tired of this myth. Nobody's giving up their $30 gummy. Terry, your story on Halloween candy made me laugh out loud. Keep up your weird sense of humor. I don't think my sense of humor is weird. It's normal, right? And you're normal too. We're both normal, right?